Hi, welcome to tdcat.com for a kind of sunny bank holiday weekend. Certainly warm, but it's not that sunny here in the UK. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Sennheiser Momentum 2 wireless headphones. These are the headphones that I did an unboxing of probably about a month ago or so, and I've now been using these for 4 weeks continuously. Pretty much every working day on the bus and train. And I wanted to just talk to you about the good and the bad because, while they are majority good, there are some bad points as well. So I wanted to kind of do a straight up, one single take, honest review. So let's get started. So as I mentioned on the unboxing, they're not that cheap. They retail at £380 in the UK, which for a pair of headphones is very much seen as, well, that's pretty pricey. So you would expect good things from these headphones. So first positive, I would say, is construction. They are beautifully made. The attention to detail in them is extremely good with this kind of leather strap across the top with the stitching, and the stitching matches the internal sort of material there. And we have the leather ear pads as well. It's just basically really quality product. And that's what you get from the Sennheiser name, and that's what you'd expect at this kind of price point. But what it comes down to ultimately is sound quality. Well, how's the sound on these things? Excellent. Really, really good. I cannot complain at all. They have a really kind of almost like a reference response. So they're not too the bass isn't too plummy, the bass isn't too emphasized, they're not too harsh sounding. They just sound right as far as I'm concerned. And remember, they're wireless headphones, so they're obviously compressing the audio, transmitting it via Bluetooth, and then it's being decompressed and being played through your ears. You can use them with a wire as well, but realistically, under a normal listening environment, I've not noticed any difference between the two. Because if you sit, how much, in reality, how often do people who have any kind of life outside doing listening tests get the time to just sit and in a perfectly acoustically treated room and listen to music in that way? You listen with friends, don't you? You listen kind of on the bus. You listen when you're walking around. That's when music comes into its own. And when you're in those sort of circumstances with a bit of background noise, they are excellent, and you won't notice the difference between Bluetooth aptX, which they do support, but remember, the iPhone does not support aptX at the moment, and your standard kind of wired listening. They just sound great across the board. Battery life is really good. It lasts ages. I mean, I can use them for a sort of whole week of traveling, and it's just one of those things you don't really need to even think about, because you just plug them in at a convenient time. They charge really quickly, and no problem at all with battery life. The actual life is stated as about 22 hours, and I really think that's probably about right. That's 22 hours listening time, so they can be sat on your desk because they support the latest version of Bluetooth. The big improvement that was made with the latest version of Bluetooth is power saving, and that really helps with these, because they can just sit on your desk connected to your phone and they won't use much power at all. So what else can we talk about with these? Well, let's talk about some of the downsides. Well, these here are how you adjust them. So they just sort of slide up and slide down like that. And they are pretty tight, but not tight enough for me. I would have preferred kind of notches, if you like, and it would have taken away from the design aspect a little bit. I would have preferred, I think, notches on these, so they kind of go click, 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 definite points, definite stops while you're pushing these down, because they sort of, you have them set to exactly how you want them. I know that I like my headphones about there, but then you're sort of wearing them over your head like this, and then they sort of shift down a bit and move about a bit. And if they were notches, they wouldn't do that. And that's a small gripe, but it's just the sort of things you learn as you use them. Secondly, I would have preferred it if they were a little tighter. So the headband a little tighter. You could probably get to work on this and actually start tightening this a little bit by just bending it. But I don't really want to do that. But I would have preferred them to be tighter on my ears. I sort of, whenever I go back to my HD 650s, can you see those sat on the back of the chair there? Whenever I go back to those, I'm quite surprised at how tight those are in comparison. And they're not really a tight pair of headphones, but these are a little bit loose. Maybe that's a good thing, because one thing I have not noticed is any kind of fatigue when wearing them. I can have them on for hours and they're comfortable. They don't make my ears too hot, even though they're full over-the-ear headphones. They're really, really comfortable because they're not, probably partially because they're not pressing too tight against your head. And so, yeah, I'm not too sure whether, I just think, well, if I were to, I don't think you could run in them because they would probably fall off. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I'm not a big runner. So really the only other thing I can complain about on these, I think, and the only one I really did want to cover, is the noise guard. Now, the noise guard function is a simple standard active noise cancellation function where the microphones on these take in the audio from the ambient sound and cancel it out. It works really well. There's very little hiss involved. A lot of the time with these kind of headphones, so the active noise cancellation headphones, you get a sort of hiss with it, and that sort of is just inherent with that type of headphone. But you don't get much of that with these. It's a really nice system. If you're sat in an office and you've got that background hum of all the sort of laptops and the air conditioning and things like that, it is just wonderful how much sound you can cancel out. So, I mean, I would imagine it's the same on a plane. I haven't used these on a plane yet. It's great on a train because just that background noise and the hum of the people and the hum of the train is just cut out. It's really, really peaceful. But when you have sounds that are really loud in the background, so if you're on a buses are really, when you're going over speed bumps in the UK, and some of the roads in the UK are pretty bloody awful. When you're going over bumps, the bus is clattering around, and those sounds create artifacts in the music you're listening to. It almost sounds like a kind of compression artifact, that kind of type of sound. It's the best impression I can do of it. It creates those kind of artifacts in the music. And when I first got them and first started using them, I was a bit, oh God, this is really annoying. Because and occasionally when you get very loud sounds, so a massive crash, it just lets it kind of pop through with the audio. And you think, oh God, that's a bit weird. So almost like the active noise guard can't cope, it breaks, and you get a click through with the audio. Now, we're talking about pretty loud environments here, because whenever I've done that, I've sort of taken the headphones off and then thought, oh my God, wow, this is really loud. I didn't realize how loud it is. But it's a little bit off-putting when you buy these and you first start using them in that environment and you think, okay, not entirely happy with this. But truthfully, you get over it. And within about 2 or 3 weeks, I don't even notice it anymore, and it's just become part of the listening on the bus. And it does vary sort of how much you notice it depending on what sort of stuff you're listening to, but you will get over it. So if you get these headphones and you experience that, please don't give up with them and don't immediately think, oh my God, they're absolutely rubbish, this is awful. You do get used to it, and it's definitely worth it, because the times when you have a more constant background sound or maybe less intensive background sound, that noise guard feature is really nice to have. All I would say is that you can disable it by using the cable and turning them off. That obviously disables the noise guard feature, but there is no way to turn it off if you're using the powered wireless headphones. And if Sennheiser watch this, or anyone from Sennheiser or affiliated with Sennheiser watches this, please release a firmware update to allow you to turn the active noise reduction off. Just I don't know, maybe four presses or something, because the button on the side here does all your standard functions, which I went over in the last video, and I'll put a link to that up. Where is it? Here? Yeah. And you could maybe just have a little sort of four taps on this or something, allows you to disable the the noise cancellation. Don't know. It would be a nice addition. Other than that, I'm entirely happy with them. They, as I say, they sound great, and they are a really good investment. They're really nicely made. They just look great on. They sit well. I mean, even with my glasses like this, they kind of sit just fine over the top like that. They don't look too out of place, and they, in fact, even when they're not on like that, they block out quite a lot of sound because they are over-the-ear headphones. They're closed headphones, and yeah, absolutely wonderful. I really can't complain apart from those few little things. So if you're looking to buy them, go ahead, you'll love them, but just be aware of those few little cons. And yeah, if you have any experience with them, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this type of kind of casual chat format, then also let me know. I don't know whether it's good to just sit here and waffle on about a subject. I would have liked to have done this outside filming with my cameraman, but it's pretty difficult to get the time to do that all the time. So I'm afraid you're going to have to put up with a living room chat. That's it from tdcat.com for now. These are the Sennheiser Momentum 2 wireless headphones, and yeah, let me know your thoughts on if you're using them, or if you got any questions and you'd like to know my thoughts on them. I'll catch you soon. Bye. Right, one thing I did forget to mention is call quality, because of course they have microphones on to use for calls as well. I completely forgot to cover that topic. That's a really important one for me, because I use a mobile phone all the time with work, and I want to be able to use those on a train, on a bus maybe, and have a reasonable conversation. Overall, I'd say it's fairly good, and I'll give you a little bit more detail around that. So the call quality to the other person is really high, but it is a little bit on the quiet side. So you do have to speak up. So if you're one of these people who kind of like usually just puts the mic really close to their mouth and just sort of chats like that, you won't be able to do that. You really will have to speak as if you were sat, as if you were talking to someone who was sat next to you on a train. And if you're uncomfortable doing that, you might find that these are a little bit quiet. So if you're walking down the street on a busy road, again, if you're speaking up, they work fine. If you want to speak quietly to someone, they're not going to be ideal for you. So I'm talking about a fairly busy main road with buses going past, with people walking past, with cars driving past, a lot of background noise. If you're speaking up, the other person can hear you. If you're sat in an office and a reasonably quiet environment, they are perfect. I have not known anyone come back to me and say, "Oh, are you using a different headset, or are you I can't quite hear you properly, or can you speak up," or anything like that. No one has said anything, and it's just brilliant. Just sort of sat, you've got your phone in your pocket, you're walking around with your headphones on, and you're just chatting away. Maybe pacing up and down the office, or pacing around a kind of meeting room or something like that. And that's absolutely perfect for that. They work brilliantly, and the audio comes across really well. And the only other thing is that I have found when the other person you're talking to is on a speakerphone, again, it can be a little bit quiet. So it's overall, the quality is good, but the level is a little lower. So you do have to speak up. And I don't know. I mean, the mic is here, isn't it? The mic that you're going to be talking with is like kind of here on your ear. It's not right next to your mouth. So it's not going to be quite as direct. And I think it does really well considering. But don't worry about it too much. If you're happy to talk and you're happy to speak up on your phone calls, you won't have a problem.